is the Royal Western India Turf Club, where the who's who of the racing fraternity had descended in the last week of January for the 36th Asian Racing Conference, the global forum for the horse racing industry. Hello and welcome to the Champions of the Turf. I am Mandira Lalwani here at the Mahalakshmi Racecourse, where the Asian Racing Conference was kicked off with the Asian Racing Federation Race Day, where the feature race was the Group 1 Poonawalla Indian Oaks.
The 36th Asian Racing Conference is the most important racing conference in Asia, if not the world, and is held every 2 years. The honour for 2016 went to India, and with over 600 high-powered delegates flying in from all over the world, it promised to be a week that would bring new and innovative ideas to the industry. The week began with the Asian Racing Federation Race Day, which hosted the Grade 1 Poonawalla Indian Oaks amongst a host of other races that found sponsorships from all parts of the world. The race meet was graced by Princess Zara Aga Khan. The race over 2,400 meters had a lineup of 17 fillies come into the parade ring, and the field included the 1,000 guineas winner Myrtlewood from India's champion trainer Pacey Shroff's yard. From a family that was best known for its milers, there was some who doubted her stamina. Wearing the blue silks, she proved to be much too strong for the others, demonstrating a turn of foot that was electric. She left the others standing still and took home the prize from the chairman of the Asian Racing Conference Working Group, Cyrus Poonawalla and Princess Zara.
Cameroon on the outside, but Myrtlewood is well clear of Chef Dior. Myrtlewood winning the Poonawalla Indian Oaks from Chef Dior. Fight for third between Shivalik Heroine and wave after wave, and heaven is here.
Well, I've only seen half the race because I got back into the stands late, so I only saw it from the 7 furlong marker, and I was watching Myrtlewood for a while. Then I lost sight of her and I suddenly saw her around the bend about 10 or 15 horses wide, and then she did well from there. Let's see how she gets back, and well, logically it would have to be the Indian Derby. I want to say something specially about the lady that the race was named after, Mrs. Poonawalla. I think she was one of the finest human beings that you could ever come across, and I think this race is aptly named after her. I'm really happy that I could win it.
Myrtlewood is a well-bred daughter of one of India's leading sires, multidimensional, and will target the colts in the Indian Derby next in a couple of weeks. A few races earlier, India's highest stakes earner was sent out in the Breeders' of India Turf Championships over 2,000 meters against 5 other rivals. With about $1 million to his credit so far, Quasar has become one of the best middle distance runners in India in the past decade or so. Carrying a heavy impost of 60 kilos on his back, he stretched away powerfully from his rivals despite being a touch underdone according to his connections.
Quasar by about half a length to 1 length now, the good of Booker Jones and Shivalik Shahs, but going for the line now with 100 to run. Booker Jones fighting back. Quasar really having to work for this victory, but he's pulled away now by about 1.5 lengths there from Booker Jones. Going for the line, and Quasar keeps his winning streak to win from Booker Jones. Then there was Shivalik Shahs followed there way behind.
A very fast run race. I'd like my partners to come, Mr. Tanmay and Mr. Padankar. So very fast run race right from the beginning. I think it suited him broadly to win the race, but it got a little too fast in the end. I think 600, 800 from home, he was cruising still. So
I think he ran a very good race. It was a fast-paced race, as he mentioned, and let's see what we'll do of him afterwards.
He's an excellent horse. That much only I can tell you.
Quasar is a horse, I don't need to speak anything. He speaks himself. He won in a record timing mile and quarter today. and he had put on 12 kilos more than normal weight he runs. But still carrying 60 kilos he has won, and I'm still happy. And I'm sure there are more scope of him doing well better in the future. The next race I think we will be targeting for in Chennai in the Invitation Cup. So just keeping our fingers crossed and hoping everything goes well for him.
Quasar will next take on the Classic Crop when he targets the Invitation Cup in March. The race day was a plethora of the best that racing has to offer and a promise of what was to come the rest of the week. With the entire race day sponsored, the Irish Thoroughbred Marketing Multimillion got the race day off the ground, and holy smoke with Irishman Colin O'Donoghue won with something to spare.
But Holy Smoke has still got a break of about 3 lengths ahead. Governor General is charging in second spot. The rest are far away. But Holy Smoke has got well and truly ahead of Governor General. Holy Smoke makes it from Governor General, Persian Prince with the money. Then there is Zana after that.
The Grade 3 Gules Poonawalla Million, a 5 furlong sprint for juveniles, went to a son of What's the Script when Serenita won this at lucrative odds of 20 to 1 for SK Sundarji, beating his stablemate by a length.
Serenita wins the Gules Poonawalla Million from Honeydew and
Well, I had 2 runners for this race and had given them enough preparation for this race. Honeydew had already had a start, so she had a benefit of a run. The other filly had prepared very well, and just hoping that they jump well and are in good position so that they can strike, and both of them ran good races, so I'm very happy about that. I thought about 100 meters from the winning post, either of them is going to make it.
The TRM Multimillion Sprint Cup, a Class 1 race, saw India's leading jockey Trevor lock horns with Scotsman David Allen, finishing in a rare dead heat.
On the inside is Merchant of Venice and Wild Waves. Going inside the last 200 meters there, and Gold being driven out there. Goldberg by about 1.5 to 2 from Brahmachari. Then there's Super Sunshine looking very good at the stage and gaining grounds. But as they go for the wire now, it's Goldberg and Brahmachari. Brahmachari on the outside and Goldberg in a very close call there.
I'd planned this race for maybe 2-3 months now, and I was very sure where I wanted to race him. Brought him here, and luckily it's all worked out well. I thought I'd held on, to be honest. I thought I'd won the race, but I still take a dead heat. It's better than running second.
Well, this horse has won 6 furlongs in the season, last out of 6. So since it was a big event today, I brought him down to a 5. The distance was a little sharp, but the boy had a very good race.
The At the Races Championship Stakes went to Your Royal Majesty, giving Pacey Schroff a well-earned double right after the Oaks.
opening along the rails there, Your Royal Majesty is also covering ground from the outside. Inside the last 200 now, Perfectionist from Your Royal Majesty coming up fast on the outside, and then the Shivalik Storm. It's Perfectionist from Shivalik Storm, Your Royal Majesty, Perfectionist from Your Royal Majesty. Your Royal Majesty travels the best of the lot to win this one from...
I think Your Royal Majesty, he's always been a very grand horse. He's always done his best. He's an easy horse to train. He keeps himself happy, and I think he did well today.
The other big juvenile race of the day was the Asian Racing Federation Trophy with stake money of nearly $200,000. Devoted Eyes, with Suraj Naraidu on, exacted revenge on Pacey Schroff's accolade, and these two have emerged as the leading 2 juveniles in India.
With Devoted Eyes looking good on the outside and gaining grounds. Then comes Star Counselor, followed by Spirited Regent. Then there is Krieger and the others. Into the last 200 meters they go. And it is Accolade now being challenged on the outside by Devoted Eyes. It's Devoted Eyes on the outside. Accolades on the inside rail. Stride for stride they go. But Devoted Eyes getting the better in the last 100 meters. Devoted Eyes wins from Accolade, Star Counselor, Bold March.
Devoted Eyes won extremely well today. I never thought she would today because the distance was very sharp. But she won like a champion, and God willing, she'll be fit next year, again on the Ladies' Day, to run in the 1,000 guineas, perhaps the Oaks as well.
I didn't have any particular instructions, it was a free hand. Kuji sir told me to ride the way I wanted, and the filly, she settled beautifully in the forward position. Came into the straight, my main danger was circulate. I tried to track him, and the moment I asked for an effort, her response was terrific. She just went fast in her tries. She's a game filly, and she has a bright future.
In the opening ceremony for the Asian Racing Conference, Mumbai brought Bollywood to a glittering evening where the keynote address was delivered by none other than Princess Zara Aga Khan to an audience which was rapt.
20 years ago, the Asian Racing Conference was held in Mumbai, and delegates from all over the world and the who's who of racing made their way to the city of Mumbai to attend the three-day event. The opening ceremony was held on Monday night, and one of Bollywood's leading ladies, Jacqueline Fernandez, brought the roof down after the ceremonial opening.
Ladies and gentlemen, to light this symbolic lamp today, I call on Sri Vidyasagar Rao, the Honorable Governor of Maharashtra, and he'll be accompanied by Princess Zara Aga Khan, Dr. Cyrus S. Poonawalla, Chairman of the Organizing Committee of the 36th Asian Racing Conference, and Mr. Winfried Engelbrecht de Brecke, Chairman of the Asian Racing Federation.
The tone for the occasion was set by the opening address delivered by the guest of honor, Princess Zara Aga Khan, who had everyone in rapt attention, hanging on every word that she said.
Racing and breeding have always been seen as high-end activities, a frivolity associated with silly hats. But I would like to underline the fact that 90% of the time and effort involved in creating a racehorse are anchored in the rural economy, and that most of us spend far more time in our welly boots than in our top hats. The horse industry is an important part of the rural economy, employing millions of people around the world in areas of shrinking agricultural production. It supports farms and villages. It provides permanent year-round employment to riders, lads, farriers, vets, farmers, and businesses of all kind. As my father said, you can look at the horse in human life, in agriculture and war, as a vehicle of exploration for hundreds of years back. When you think about it, the horse is one of the most extraordinary phenomena we have. This industry preserves a species and also an entire population that nurtures that species.
The 3 days of the Asian Racing Conference saw all the horse racing decision makers discuss policy and the way forward in a sport that is constantly innovating. The highlights included doping, illegal betting, and a promising new future that China offers.
The conference over 3 days on the 26th, 27th and 28th of January had business sessions that covered the gamut of topics ranging from wagering to handicap, from industry profiles to drug-free racing. The first day kicked off with a session on the wagering landscape in the horse racing industry, had the chairman of the Asian Racing Conference speak about industry trends and strategies.
First of all, good morning and a big welcome to all of you on behalf of the Asian Racing Federation. We have a very full agenda, and what we mentioned before, it goes from topics of movement of horses, quality control of races, and they are all very important. But we feel there is clearly one very, very important topic we want to address today, which is key to our industry, and that has to do with wagering income. If you look at a global worldwide trend, that wagering is the lifeblood of racing. If you look at income streams which wagering generate, it's different like football, where football in a way has no direct wagering income. Their main driver is broadcasting rights, which have exploded. But if you look at the wagering, at the racing industry, in the end, 75% of the income is generated directly or indirectly by wagering. And one has to really look at, do we galloping ahead, or do we have a development where we are not growing, where we fall into a trot? So when you look at that you don't see growth, then to sustain your business, to sustain in a way especially the significant necessary investment for a customer experience, you have to find different income sources.
The RWITC has managed to put Mumbai on the racing map, and the chairman of the marketing committee highlighted that marketing horse racing had to be innovative and find multiple platforms from which to position its assets. In possibly a feat that is unmatched globally, the RWITC may be the only race club in the world that has almost every race day sponsored by a corporate house.
Sponsorships is the heart of our marketing program. Growth in sponsorships at the RWITC has been exponential, from virtually nothing a decade ago to a situation where we have a sponsored race every weekend through almost 8 months of the year. Our annual sponsorship at the ongoing Mumbai season this year would be over $15 million US. We attract contributors from across the industry spectrum, covering real estate, liquor, chambers of commerce, lifestyle, breeders, and more. It is not about just selling 1 or 2 or 3 races in a year, but one every week, which makes our task all that more challenging. We have set a high benchmark and perhaps is the single most factor that has set our club in a league of its own.
Drug-free racing and doping has always been a subject that is at the forefront of policy making, and the Asian Racing Conference was fortunate to bring on board the chairman of the IFHA, Louis Romanet, who spoke about the International Federation's anti-doping remit.
Now we're facing the 21st century where we have to go further. We are going from medication control to doping control. So we have addressed the problem of therapeutic substance. We now have to address the problem of some specific doping agents which are difficult to find. We have the new challenge of gene doping and the possibility of the modification of the heritable genome which must be strictly forbidden. So clearly we will permanently have to advance in order to follow all the scientific evolutions which we have. As was mentioned by the previous speaker, clearly the global integrity of racing is fundamental. It's a basic principle. That must be our permanent priority for the confidence of the betting people, of the punter, but also for the breeding industry. We are there to select the best breed in order that they will go back to stud and reproduce, and these horses must run clean of medication. That's very important. And we must, in our policy, we must cover the whole life of the thoroughbred, from its conception to its final retirement, and we must ensure full traceability and have permanent access to every horse and total transparency. We cannot accept that a horse suddenly disappears for 6 months, you don't know where he is, and he suddenly comes back and he wins a Group 1 race. I think that's not acceptable. That's why we must develop control in training.
China could become the next forefront for horse racing. And while there are multiple players venturing into what may be the world's biggest racing market in the future, the Hong Kong Jockey Club has begun to execute its program for development there.
It's the Hong Kong Jockey Club's approach to the development of this software, which I'll concentrate upon today. But before doing so, let me give you some context by explaining the rationale for our involvement. First, as you will have appreciated by now, I think, but it bears elaborating on the point that the club has a long history of contribution and engagement in mainland China. This includes, but it's not limited to contributions connected with the horse industry. Secondly, as you're aware, the development of racing in the region is a core mission of the Asian Racing Federation, and as the host of the ARF Secretariat, the club takes this mission very seriously. Finally, there is in a sense a natural extension occurring here. Take for example the training of jockeys, work riders and stable staff. The vocational training capabilities we've built up in Hong Kong are already being deployed in mainland China. Since 2012, we've been delivering this training for our existing labour force needs across the border in Guaming. From this year, we'll commence training of locally recruited youth to become part of the skilled workforce at the Shungfa Training Centre. You will appreciate, therefore, that we are, in a very real sense, a natural partner to work with the governing bodies in China on the development of this nascent sport. As Winfred indicated in introducing this session, the club's entered into two such partnerships, one with the China Horse Industry Association and one with the Chinese Equestrian Association. Now, these partnerships have a broad compass.
The week was resplendent with entertainment and hospitality that certainly set a benchmark for South Korea to follow as the next host in 2 years.
The finale of the Asian Racing Conference could not have been more spectacular. The Poonawalla Stud Farm has been home to many a champion, and a visit to the stud farm transported the guests into a world of magic, resplendence and victory for a conference that has been easily amongst the best ever.
With all the business sessions and the hard work out of the way, it was time to treat the delegates to a day in the sun. The Poonawallas opened their hearts and the gates to their majestic stud farm to welcome everyone for the afternoon. The delegates and guests also got a glimpse at some of the farm's best horses, and everyone was in awe. As the conference wound to a close, it was time to get a last word on the takeaways from this mega event.
Well, first of all, it's my first time to India, and I think it's made such a great impression on many of us, myself included, about what a great destination India is. The conference itself, I thought was extraordinary. The business sessions were very informative, very well attended. I think it was one of the greatest conferences in the 36 conferences that the Asian Racing Federation has held. It was terrific, and it's going to be a great building block for Korea, because I think the momentum will continue as we go to Korea, and it'll get even greater. And so I think it's just a great thing that everybody can come together and kind of come together for a week and really walk away with a better industry.
It was a great conference. I think it's always very difficult to fill 3 days of conference. In Paris every year we have just 1 day, and all the big issues were raised, were discussed with very good panelists. A lot of new information, for example on illegal betting as a real challenge, and it was also a way for us who are taking part in all these conferences to give information to people and to teach them about the challenge of the future. It was very well organized. All the main goals were dealt with. The organization was perfect. The country is unique. So I come back home full of ideas for my next conference.
I personally think some people came to me and saying that was probably even the best conference we had in relation to content. I think all the 3 days had very interesting topics, very interesting speakers. I personally think we came to very innovative ideas we came to the conclusion that we have to work closer together, especially to fight illegal gambling. And the whole colorfulness, the whole entertainment around the conference was marvelous, and therefore India has been an absolute marvelous host, and especially Cyrus Poonawalla as the chairman of the organizing committee.
One word: amazing. This has been an absolutely amazing Asian Racing Conference. Indeed, all of the racing conferences that are now held around the world, this would have to be the best I've been to. Look, we have talked about a lot of stuff. We had 12 business sessions over 3 days, and then before that we had the bureau meetings, including the Stewards Conference. A lot of very important ground covered. For me, the illegal gambling problem, that stands out as something that really was explored in the required detail, and encouragingly and importantly, we now have a way forward. That's essential. A lot of the marketing ideas were wonderful, and I know that delegates, they've said to me already, they'll take those back and start to apply them, so that's great.
With all the praise coming their way, the men behind the event were tired but ecstatic with having put India right up there on the global racing map.
I thought it went off very well. For our country, it was fabulous. Things went uneventfully, much better than my expectations.
I'm very, very pleased because after all the effort, I would term it as an outstanding success. And I asked some of the executive council members like Winfred and Andrew to give me honest feedback on how we did. And he said, you're right there at the top. So, and all the delegates, I'm happy. And that's the greatest satisfaction to hear that our visitors were happy. I think all the business sessions, there were a lot of take home on technology and wagering especially, on medication and the way they promote racing. So there was a lot of learning across the board. And I think the evenings gave us a chance to network, and I've met some very interesting people offline. So I think it's going to be the way up and up for Indian racing from here.
Well, I was nervous, but it's all work, clockwork, and I'm overwhelmed with the amount of praises that we have probably don't deserve. But there's no doubt that those who have spoken, not to me, but behind my back, and that's the important thing, have all been, never expected this put up show by India. The highlight was, of course, the zero level tolerance. There was huge participation on it. Message has gone down that the trainer is the responsible person unless he can prove that he was a victim of mitigating circumstances. And the Stewards Conference was brilliant. A lot of exchange of knowledge was taken place. These, in my opinion, were the two most important business sessions and the highlight of the conference.
That's it from all of us here at the Champions of the Turf. I hope you've enjoyed this episode as much as we've enjoyed bringing all the details and excitement to you. See you soon. Until then, may the horse be with you. Goodbye.